Welcome, marvelous makers,
and art appreciators,
to the ArtSpace podcast,
brought to you by Lemon Street Gallery and ArtSpace,
located at 4601 Sheridan Road.
Hop on in to your favorite citrus-themed art gallery,
Yes.
early and often,
Yes.
and take a look at some awesome art and then buy it.
Yes, definitely. And I am your host, Shelby Nesmith.
And I'm Jake Hoy.
And today we are here with the amazing, wonderful Scott Terry, the owner of Mahogany Gallery and CEO of Mahogany Black Arts and Cultural Center.
Hey,
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh.
We'll get into the rest.
So much going on with you.
well, thank you for those kind words, and thank you for having me here today on this podcast. I'm excited to speak a little bit about what I'm involved in, what we're doing, what we're up to, and have a dope conversation about art.
Oh,
For sure.
definitely.
The pleasure is all
Love
ours.
it.
I know.
We're honored.
know.
We don't get as many Racine titans of the art world as we should, and
yeah.
that's why it's so awesome that you're able to join us.
Sure.
And-
Well, you guys are really embellishing the titan. I mean, I'm not a titan. I'm just a brother trying to do some artwork and help other artists, build their careers and sell artwork and be seen and support the community of Racine and southeastern Wisconsin and Kenosha as well. So we're all connected.
That counts as a titan in my book.
Definition of Titan there.
All right.
So how are you doing on this chilly, weird Wisconsin day?
I'm doing fantastic. I had a great productive day today.
Nice.
I always start my days with meditation, and that's very important to me, and kind of sets the tone for how your day is going to go, things you need to do. Being a titan of art, you got a lot of things to do, right?
Yeah.
No, guys, I'm not a titan of art. I'm just
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on
Yes.
this.
but it makes for a busy day, when you have a lot of things on your plate. But so that's how I start my day. And today has been a beautiful day.
I was gonna say, you said it was chilly. It was pretty nice today. I'm wearing
No,
short sleeves.
I'm always chilly.
Oh,
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Yeah.
This is coming out Friday when it's supposed to be actually chilly.
Oh, okay.
30s and stuff. So
Oh, really?
she foresaw.
Oh,
Yes, that
wow.
makes sense.
Okay. Well, I'm actually working on a mural, so I need to get that done before it gets.
Do it tomorrow. It's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
I mean yesterday, because it's Friday right now.
Yeah, right. Gotcha. Let's do it yesterday. Right.
Yes.
Are you confused yet?
We are.
Right.
But him being the local weatherman.
Oh, you blown up my spot. That's my
Yes.
secret identity.
Yeah. Hoy the weatherman, right?
I have a weather page called Jake's Kenosha Area Weather Page. where I
Oh,
post
seriously?
about- yeah.
Oh, right on. Okay.
It's a thing, but yeah. This
Okay.
isn't the weather space podcast. This is the art space podcast.
Okay. All right.
All righty. Let's get into these wonderful questions that we have
All
here.
right. Fire away.
So what got you into art?
What got me into art? Wow, that's a very good question. I did not sort of, I shouldn't say embrace it. I didn't really realize it was, a potential skill set that I had. I thought I was on earth to play football, to be a football player. So, I played football, pretty much my whole life. And, but I had, thanks, shout out to my mama, to my mom about, I have two older brothers, and they're musicians, and I'm the visual artist, and we get all of our creativity from her. So she's the one that she's always encouraged all of us to pursue our creative endeavors. And when my football career playing days were over, she was the one that suggested that I pursue art, and I'm like pursue art? Like, what do you mean? I didn't even know what that meant. So, shout out to her for, educating me and, believing me, believing that, I had some skill sets and talents that were just untapped. And I'm thankful for her for, helping me see the vision and like really jumping back into who I was. I identified as a football player for so long. Like I thought that's what I was supposed to do in my life. And so I really embraced that, and that's what other people's expectations of me were too. So I just kind of took it and ran with it. And, I was a pretty decent football player. But it's funny how, life throws things at you, right? And it forces you sometimes to pivot and find a new version of yourself.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful for art helping me find a new version of Scott Terry. So.
Oh,
Yeah,
yay.
yeah.
We love those strong parental support systems because they're so important.
Absolutely.
And you're just like, oh, it's just my mom, or oh, it's just my dad, but that triggers your journey forward.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Everything. Yeah.
love.
I mean,
love
she's
that.
she's ambidextrous. She speaks fluent French. She paints. She draws. She's a phenomenal pianist. She sings. She's just all of that. And she supported us in our creativity. So like my brothers they are. One of them won a Grammy Award.
Wow.
So they're like really high level musicians, right?
That's amazing.
So they make it look easy, right? That's what all the great ones do, right?
Yeah.
So when I realized I'm not so great at playing music, that's when I kind of identified with being a football player, because my brothers were so phenomenally gifted. They made it look easy, so I thought that was something that I could just pick up.
Start drumming away at a guitar.
Yeah,
or something.
it was saxophone at the time.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so they would improvise, right? So they were phenomenal improvising musicians, the jazz musicians. So jazz is all improvising.
Oh, yeah.
Most of it. So I'm like, man, how do they play without sheet music? Like, how do they know what notes to hit? And what are they, they're always in tune, always play the right notes. I just couldn't get it, So I picked up the football and I got it there. So and later on, I picked up some paintbrushes and learned some skills there too.
We had a turnover on downs, and sorry, I had to sneak a football right.
Yeah. Turnover on downs. There you go, Jake. Yeah.
I played football in high school
Oh,
too.
you did?
Let
me guess. You were offensive tackle. See, come on, I know.
yeah, because I wasn't good enough to be a guard. I never mastered pulling.
That's a whole science right there.
You nailed me. But I only made it through about freshman year, and then I'm like, no, I got to get a job.
Yeah. See, I played majority of middle linebacker. I played a little fullback, and then later on I played a little D end. I was really more of I stopped playing running back because I was a bigger guy.
Yeah.
So like everyone just comes for your knees all the time, and it's a much better feeling to not have 11 guys after you.
Yeah.
As soon as the ball is hiked, So I'm like, man, I kind of like this defense, and you can smack people and hit them upside the head and throw elbows and slam them. Like, yeah, that's dope.
Very cathartic. Yeah,
let's do that.
Get all that negative energy out.
Yeah, right. And you don't get in trouble for it, right?
Yeah, you're doing good.
Yeah. This is all violence. That's a part of football, right?
Oh, yeah.
But now we're getting that negative energy out on the canvas, or maybe the positive energy. I should probably
a little bit
say.
of both. Yeah, a little bit of both.
And by we, I mean not me, you guys, because I'm not an artist at all. But I'm an art appreciator,
Dig it.
and I'm here for it.
I dig it. We're all, it's all one family, man. Like we all need each other, Yeah, indeed.
So, and it's hard not to be inspired and everything with a mom like that. That is just amazing. So
yeah, she challenged us and she pushed us, and sometimes she didn't, we didn't want to do what she wanted us to do, and but my mom always had a way of she was just a finesser, man. She just could get all of us to. She just had this, really soft voice, and just, we didn't want to, that's my mama, right? Mama says something, that's what you do. But she was a teacher too, so she had a way about working with kids to get them to do what they needed to do, but in a roundabout way, right?
Yeah, it's a superpower.
Yeah, definitely a superpower, and she was amazing at that. I remember sometimes as a kid I'd just be mad, and for whatever reason, and she'd come in and she'd calm me down, and and next thing you know, I forgot what I was even mad about. Yeah, and then she would end up getting me to do what I would needed to do. So yeah, she was just awesome. She's an awesome person.
Oh, yay.
Well, we've been talking about the early days already, but let's ask another question. What's your earliest art memory?
My earliest art memory. You know, so they have this. I remember I was about like 5th grade or 4th grade, and my mom still has it too. I did this painting of this kid. Maybe it's me. I don't know. This kid on a sled in the wintertime, and it's just it's probably about I don't know 18 by 24 like construction paper, and that's probably my earliest memory. And I remember that like looking back on it now, like not to brag on myself, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like I was not knowing I was had proportions relatively together. I remember like I really liked doing that project. Excuse me, that painting, and so that was probably my earliest recollection. And she still has it up hanging in the basement,
Of course.
So
Of course. Definitely fridge material.
Yeah. So it's cool because my kids see it now, and then like I see I've got a 6-year-old son. My youngest is 6, and they all have their own artistic talent. I mean, they're all. But again, it goes back to her. I'll say people say, "Oh, and they get it from me," and they might get a little bit, but it goes back to her. She's the and probably and further down the line as well. So
Definitely.
yeah. So that's probably my earliest recollection.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Again, that support system coming in.
Yeah,
and
right on.
keeping it fresh in your mind when you first started.
Right on.
Yes. Alrighty. So moving into the next question. Who or what was an influence on your art?
Man, so many people. I think probably, there's an artist that really stands out that really, opened my eyes. When I talked about, my former life as a football player, I suppressed the artistic side because, it was like, wasn't cool. And, it's that whole ego thing, right? But then I discovered this artist who was also a football player, and his name is Ernie Barnes, and he was a very prolific painter, and when I learned that he was a football player, I was like, wow, you can actually do both, and you don't have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And I've recognized that now as I got older. Like you don't have to be. It's not mutually exclusive. You have multiple talents.
Oh, yeah.
But Ernie Barnes is really known for if you ever seen the TV show. I don't know how old you are, but probably dating myself, but there's a TV show, a very classic TV show called Good Times.
Good Times. I was gonna say, I bet it's Good Times.
Yep. So Good Times when the TV show. Yeah, she's kind of
I'm the young one on the podcast.
I could sing the theme song right now if I wasn't worried I would embarrass myself.
We're gonna have to do that before the end of the show, Jake. You got to bust
just
that
coffee
out.
in here, I promise.
With your new, not as abnormally long straw.
Oh, yeah, we got to shout out the straw. This is a whole thing. I had a very large straw last episode.
Yeah, that is a long straw.
This is long.
Why so long?
I have ice in here, and I don't want to clink, 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 so this way I
look at you. You guys have this whole strategy mapped out for doing these productions,
can... You should have seen the one I had last week, because it was like
nuts.
Twice as long.
Oh, okay.
Too long.
All right.
Take 2 on the straw.
Yes.
Anyways.
It's not comically large, so I'm not laughing at it this episode.
All right.
But yeah, went over my head. Whoosh, I'm a baby.
Good times.
Yeah. So,
JJ, you got
right,
Florida.
Right, that's right. There you go, Jake. There you go. Yeah. So that's an iconic TV show for a lot of reasons. Historically, but also from a TV production standpoint, it made history on that aspect. And Norman Lear produced that TV show,
Yeah.
the same guy who made the Brady Bunch and
All in the Family.
yeah, All in Family,
Sanford and Son, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, all those iconic TV shows from that era. But so when the TV show first comes on, you'll see this image of this painting. It's called the Sugar Shack, and the Sugar Shack is probably, I think, one of the most iconic pieces of artwork ever produced. I think
100%. I have a perfect image of it. And
Yeah,
they're like dancing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was his image. That was his painting. So he had these really, his style was like really elongated figures and really like dramatic poses and these dramatic scenes, and it was all about people. And it was all about the Black experience. So like, regular everyday scenes, but also things that you can identify with, growing up Black in America. So that, his work really resonated with me, and then, it just opened my eyes that, you can be multi-talented. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself. And I don't know why it took me so long to, sort of come to that, resolution, but that's growth, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're learning and you're growing, and for me, he kind of subliminally made it acceptable to be an athlete and an artist. And younger, I kind of struggled with that because I suppressed that, and looking back, that came from not being exposed to other Black artists, for one, like locally here. So I didn't really have anyone to.
Reference or-
I just, there was no one. Not to say there was no one, but I just didn't know
That you
anybody.
knew of.
Yeah. So, looking back, it made sense in my childhood mind that it wasn't a real life goal, it wasn't a real life thing to pursue. But football was more realistic. And so, yeah, long story short, Ernie Barnes is one of my influences. And then I'd also say there's another phenomenal painter. He's not, he is an influence, but I really, I didn't discover him till later on, but his name was Thomas Blackshear. Just an amazing painter. It's just hard to describe his work, but it's just, he creates these beautiful images of people interacting with nature and really expressive of culture. Just beautiful. One of my hands down, one of my favorite artists, Thomas Blackshear. And then also I'm a big fan of Della Wells. Della Wells is out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin-based artist, and she's different than what I would do, but like my style. But I really appreciate. She's a collage artist, and I really appreciate how she approaches, her work, and the execution of the work. It's really profound, and it's all just literally like ripped paper, and ripped magazines, but she just has this way of assembling, these images to make them so dynamic and powerful and rich and expressive. So
Collage is amazing. We had a collage artist on probably about 5 episodes ago, Missy. Go back and listen to that episode, folks at home.
Yes.
But it's amazing what they do. I never thought about it as a non-artist. Like, it was like, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't see it as like art.
Yeah.
But now I totally do.
Yeah, absolutely. So people think it's like a random thing. It's literally the exact opposite. It's not like, there's nothing random about it at all. It's like painting. Just I'm saying it like I'm a real collage artist, but I'm just from what I like see and what I interpret from that, it's really intentional. Like the placement, the layout, the design, the colors you're using, the textures, the composition, all those things. And it's just another way of expressing that creativity through another medium. Painters do the same thing. 3D artists do the same thing. It's just a different medium. So those three. There's so many, but as far as like the one who kind of like kickstarted that, I would say is Ernie Barnes. Definitely.
I'll definitely have to look into those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
That
And watch
sounds
some
cool.
Good Times, Shelby. It's a great show.
Yeah, Shelby, come on, get with it.
There's some
Okay.
sad moments. I won't spoil them for you.
Yeah.
One notable one in my mind. But
Yeah. So now you talk about. So I mentioned earlier about my affinity for Black art history. So that would be that's another form of Black art history. So here's the thing with JJ, right? The character one of the main characters. You know, he's an artist. That's his character, and so all of the artwork that you see on the show is actually Ernie Barnes' original work. That's his real work.
Oh, cool.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
that's Ernie Barnes. Yeah, yeah.
Blowing my mind.
Yeah, so he's got. I mean, seriously, he's got some of the most iconic work. I think, in American art history. Because when I talked about like the influence of that show that was the very first show, TV show that was a primetime show, and it really spoke to the conditions of Black folks. Not all the conditions, but some of the conditions of Black folks, and in that time, really high poverty, working class family. And right in the central city,
Chicago,
there had never been a show like that,
Right.
ever. We're coming from Leave It to Beaver to that,
Yeah.
Oh,
right? So you're showing two different Americas in prime time,
Right.
but in a sitcom format, so it was connected with a lot of people. I just remember that was one of my favorite shows. And then of course everybody had a crush on JJ's sister, so that was
well, I'll do
like,
my
yeah,
research.
no, who didn't? Everybody
Guilty
did.
as charged.
Yeah.
I'll do my research.
Maybe we might cut that out. I don't know.
No, I love that.
We got a quick turnaround on this episode, so I doubt it.
Well, now you tell me. Okay. Oh, you guys set me up, Jake and Shelby. Set me up.
Well, our next question ties pretty much into what we were just talking about. Who are some of your favorite artists? So
Yeah.
the last one was just influences, but this is like favorite artists, local artists
Yeah,
included.
man. There's so many. Well, I guess let's break it down like locally. No, and I think we need to preface this too that art is like the umbrella, right? So
Right.
that's a very
Huge.
generic term.
I mean, music. You
yeah.
got,
Performance.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I wanted to make sure everyone knows out there in podcast land that when we talk about art, or at least today, we're talking about, all creatives or different creatives.
Definitely.
So I would say, I mentioned Della Wells. I think there's a brother out of Racine, D. Hutch, very prolific muralist and painter. And his dad, Darren Hutchinson, they've been around. They're OGs. And again, Darren Hutchinson he was probably one of the originators, going back to the late 80s, mid 80s. So shout out to Darren Hutchinson. He's in Florida now, but we have to, we'll always give him his flowers. While he's still here, because he's an icon in Racine. And then let me see. He's more of an illustrator, but he's a painter. But you see a lot of his work in publications, and that's Kadir Nelson. Love his work. He does a lot of children's book illustrations.
awesome.
Yeah, Kadir Nelson, really dope painter, illustrator.
We're putting you on the spot.
No, cool. It's cool. I can dig it. I can answer this. I like. There's a brother out of Atlanta named he goes by Wack. Kevin Williams. Also another prolific painter, like contemporary painter. I love. There is a new artist that I should say new, emerging. Even though I don't really like using the word emerging, but we have some of her work at Mahogany, and her name is Ashley Dallas. She's a very unique style. She's in the Duality show right now, and it's just really clashing textures and bold lines and really intriguing compositions. I think there's a lot of growth there with her, and I would say, so many. Nehemiah Edwards, Juwan Johnson, abstract artist. I've grown to have more of affinity for abstract work. For a long time, I just did not get it. I just did not get it. But as I became more experienced, that I realized again, that's another. It may not look like it's intentional, but it's definitely intentional.
Oh,
The mind of this abstract artist and how they interpret their work and put it together. Man, there's so many. I'm missing a whole lot, but
just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Some homework for you folks at home to look these folks up and dig into their work.
Yeah, now I can get a little bit into art history a little bit. So like the sort of not wouldn't be our contemporaries, but some of our elders and ancestors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would definitely say Faith Ringgold. She's probably another iconic name, collage artist as well. And I first heard of her when there's this video that came out. Oh man, I used to play it for my kids when they were little. Goodnight Moon.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Goodnight Moon. So she has they animated like some of her illustrations of the book, and then I looked her up. I'm like, oh, like she's pretty major. And Faith Ringo is actually she's really an icon in the Black art history movement as well, for a lot of different reasons. So I like her work. I like Romare Bearden. These are more of like the iconic names. But there's Augusta Savage as well. Black woman artist who she kind of has a sad story towards the end, but she was also a trailblazer. Elizabeth Catlett, another one. Man, so many. So yeah. Well, we have a long history. Yeah,
yes, definitely.
Right on.
Definitely.
Even more homework for the
Yes.
folks.
Yeah.
Dig into it.
Yeah.
And just a teaser for fans of the podcast, at least one of these names that you just heard is in talks with maybe coming on this episode. I won't say who.
Okay.
It was probably from the first half of your list.
Okay. Right on.
Look for that maybe next season.
Right on. You guys gonna have to dig deep and get your long straws, right, Jake?
I'm going to have to double the length of the straw,
Right.
at least.
But yes, we're not going to tell you who.
All right.
Get your guesses ready.
Dig it.
Alrighty, and we're going to take a quick break.
All right, we are back. Welcome. Not welcome. Welcome back.
Yeah. Hi, hello.
Part 2. We're here with Scott Terry from Mahogany Gallery and so many other things. You got your own podcast. We haven't mentioned that yet.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we sure do. It's called the Black Art and Culture Podcast. It's a video podcast, and it's really about connecting artists of color all over the United States. So it's really cool because we've had artists from Florida, Maryland,
Colorado, the episode I saw.
Colorado, yep.
Chicago,
and Milwaukee, and we've got about 7 that's currly in the pipeline to be edited. So
Nice.
So yeah, Indianapolis and New York, as well. So yeah, I mean, I have fun, and I think it's one of the things I discovered with the podcast is that there's a lot of commonalities between artists. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
Where you live. Doesn't matter like what you do, like what your craft is, what your medium is, what your practice is. But a few things that really stand out to me is that the commonalities are, art is a form of healing. It's a form of expression and a form of mental health. That's one thing that's common denominator. And also it's there's a spiritual element, to the art. With many of the artists, and that's a little different from artist to artist, but I think those are some of the commonalities. And I also think that kind of stuck out too is that the majority of artists have a design background. So like they've been, myself included. So like, being a graphic designer, video production, editing, they're kind of all in the same family. So like the fine art is just an extension of, that design. So those are just some interesting, observations. And so yeah, the Black Art and Culture podcast. I don't do it every Friday as you guys do. But it's probably we probably record once or twice a month, and then it goes into editing.
But you got video, so you got us beat there.
Yeah.
It's available on YouTube, I believe. Correct?
Yeah, it's posted to the YouTube channel, Mahogany Gallery. So go check that out, guys. And then there's a bunch of other videos on there as well. But that's the podcast, and then sort of as a kind of like a companion to that is an in-person artist talk called Mahogany Dialogues, Change Makers in the Arts. And what that is, it's more of an in-person exchange and dialogue with artists. These are probably, I like to say, like more like well-established artists. So it gives people in the audience like more access to quote unquote successful artists, right? And successful is a subjective term, right? It could be monetary, it could be, how many line items you have in your CV, stuff like that, But typically, the Mahogany Dialogues are experienced artists who've got, gallery shows under their belt. They've got museums possibly under their belt. They may have, have a track record for showing and exhibiting across the country. So, I made that series for two things. One, to show how these artists are doing their thing to change their communities, whether it's interacting with young people, whether it's teaching, whether it's creating a new genre or a new style, or embracing their creativity in the first place, and what type of impact are they having in their local community. So that's why I created that. And so we just recently had Della Wells. I was really excited to have her. And we also had a phenomenal artist, performance artist by the name of Leandra Lesueur. She's out of New York, and she was amazing as well. And so that's what Mahogany Dialogues is, and then the podcast, and they all kind of go. It's really about making artists more visible, making their work more visible, and also making them more accessible. And then the gallery is accessible too. So those all tie into sort of educating people about galleries, educating people about artists, how to connect with galleries, listen to what some other artists are doing in terms of their careers, because there's so many opportunities out there. It's just a matter of where do you see yourself fitting in. Just so many opportunities, and that's probably one of the other underlying themes with all the artists, is that everyone's doing their thing, and there's no there's no right or wrong way to do it per se. It's just more about, what do you want to do? What direction do you want to take? And there's just so many. It could be kind of overwhelming actually, but but it's really about, and I try to, coach artists up in that, just find, discover who you are. That's bottom line. That's first, discover who you are as a person and who you are as an artist, and then
shine through your art.
Yeah, and things will develop from there. Because collectors, they want genuine work. They want to know that the work comes from a place of a place of, I shouldn't say purity, but that's who the artist is. Oh, there you go. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, authenticity. So it's okay, and that's one thing I love about art in my journey has been it is okay to be you, whoever that is. Art is probably one of the few areas where that's embraced and that's welcomed. You can you can be you. You can do you. And there's no right or wrong way of doing you. Who can tell you you're wrong of doing you? Like nobody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you do what you want to do. And there's always there's a lane for you. Absolutely. There's a lane for you. So, and that's really one of the things I take pride in with the gallery. We have a wide range of styles and artists. And I think one of the messages with Mahogany is that, showing that black is not a monolith. And oftentimes we get that. That's sort of like a stereotype, right? I mean, but, every single art style you can think of, we've had a footprint in that, whether it's printmaking, whether it's abstract, whether it's fabric, 3D, sculpture, metal, ceramics. I mean, you name it. Collages. We're in that. We're in all of it. So, and that's one of the messages I really try to drive home with the work and the artists I select. We want to show diversity within the culture. So, being really intentional about that.
Well, you're doing a great job,
Oh,
and
thank
we
you.
applaud your work. It's
thank you.
obviously very important. So
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes. So jumping into the questions after that wonderful side note,
we always got to go
I
back to
love
the
'em.
questions.
Sorry.
It's kind of the format of the show.
No. So what would you say your motivation to create is?
Oh, motivation to create.
Yeah, we're getting deep here.
Yeah, we getting deep. Well, that's a very good question. Motivation to create. I think there's so many motivations. One, I think, at least for me, is art is a way of documenting history, and it's a way of documenting you personally. Where you are in this moment in time. In your life, in this phase in your life. But it's also a glimpse into what's happening in the world at any particular moment, So I think that was some of the, the motivations. I think also too, like the desire to push yourself, and challenge yourself. I've been really intentional about that myself with my own work. I got to a point where I was kind of bored of my own work, and I'm like, this is pretty whack. I'm not really feeling this. So I needed to challenge myself. So I started doing stuff I've never done before. Like, I made my first collage, that was a really cool experience, and I'm going to do more of those.
Nice.
So that was really cool because there's a whole, the motivation to that was just to learn, right? Learn, and I got to experiment with paper. And then I realized, they have all these different, like imprinted papers with different, patterns, and then that's a whole different thing just by itself, And I'm like, wow, this could go on and on and on. And you've got different types of, like foils. I mean, so much. So that was motivation to learn more, better understand my own practice. That's a motivation, as well. And at the root, I would say I'm a painter. But I started off with colored pencils. I started drawing, and I became pretty decent with colored pencil. And I was doing like not really hyper realistic, but more of like I call it like surreal. It was kind of like if you see one of my pieces, Buy You Grooving. That's probably one of my more signature iconic colored pencil works.
Gotcha.
And but I wanted to start doing bigger work, bigger sizes. And colored pencil can be limiting because it's so like detailed. So that's why I got into painting, so I can do bigger work, and it's the same. It's like the same. It's the same technique, same concept with brushes as compared to pencils. The blending is a little different, and then like how you set it up is a little different, but it's still all the same, relatively.
A little
considering
looser.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, looser, and like you can it's not so tragic if you make a mistake, right?
Yes, you can paint over it.
Yeah.
Keep on moving.
Right. With pencil, you gotta be concerned about the medium. If it's paper, you could tear the paper up, and that's catastrophic. And if it's not, if it's, so I started doing an illustration board. Cold press, and cold press has a little teeth to it.
Gotcha.
So that was able to kind of capture the wax better. That was just my opinion. With other stuff, the smooth, it was just kind of like spread everywhere.
Around,
Yeah. So all you color pencil artists, cold press, illustration board, get the ones with the teeth. All right, Prismacolor.
Great color pencils.
Yeah, great color pencils. I forgot what the question was.
Well, I've got to interrupt because we have a segment on the show called Educate Jake.
Okay.
I am
Educate
dumb
Jake.
and I need to be educated.
Okay.
Cold press, what's that mean? That's not like a type of coffee or like a juice
goodness.
or something. No.
Yeah, well, cold press. Yeah, well, it's a type of coffee and juice, but it's also a type of illustration board, right?
What's an illustration?
Illustration board. We're going to educate Jake today, y'all.
I am very, very dumb.
Let's educate Jake. All right. Now, good questions. Good questions. There's no dumb questions.
I always tell him that.
Yeah, I know dumb questions. All right. So you said, okay, illustration board. What was the question again?
What's an illustration board?
Oh, yeah, illustration board. Okay. What's an illustration board? Illustration board is kind of like mat board, like like that. See that matting?
Yeah.
It's similar to that. That may actually be illustration board, but there's different textures.
It's not like
to
a
it.
canvas then. It's like a.
It's more like a think of like cardstock on steroids.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
think I see
yeah.
what you mean.
Yeah, is that a good?
Yeah.
For the folks at home, we have a piece hanging over our
Yeah.
table here that we're consulting
Right.
in an attempt to
Beautifully
educate me.
Right,
And-
cardstock on steroids.
Yeah,
And it's a great medium for a color pencil.
Got it.
It's a great medium for, depending on like the weight of it, it's a great medium for wet media, as well. Depending on which one you get. And then like oil pastel is pretty decent. It's decent, especially with the one with the teeth. Now the smooth one is the hot press, and that's the one that's it's like this table. It's
It is
smooth.
flat.
Yeah, and
As
I
can
don't
be.
I don't really know, like maybe that's more just for framing. I don't know, because I don't really know how, like, what medium you would use with a hot press. Maybe pencil, maybe.
Yeah. Or just
possibly.
a base to build something, maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's hard.
I've never really found a use for a hot press. So-
To mat your wonderful prints.
yeah, other than that, yeah. So then, the cold press has a little texture to it, has teeth to it. So
Okay.
it really helps to, at least I think, the wax of the pencil to stick on there. All right.
The teeth help it grip.
Got it.
Yeah. And then the colored pencils, it's kind of it's wax,
Right.
So it gets the sheen of, like a candle gets like dull.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after the pieces, I would be done with the drawing. I'd take like a tissue paper and then like do just wipe it all down, and then the sheen would come back, and then you put a fixative on there, so to keep that sheen there and protect it. So,
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
Consider me educated.
Right on. We just educated Jake. Everybody. No, you need like some music when it's time for the educate
yes.
Jake section.
We got those buttons on our thing. We gotta get a jingle.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta figure that out. Yeah, get a jingle for educate Jake
Like
section.
the way you think.
Yeah, right on.
Alrighty.
But anyways, we have questions.
Yes.
We got a couple more here.
Yes.
Okay, this one's a fun one. If time and money were no object, what's your dream project?
Oh man,
All the time and money in the world.
Time and
What are you
money
working
in
on?
the world? Oh man,
No
jeez.
physical
We've had some people
limitations.
say they want to do like a giant mural on the side of a building. We've had some people say they want to build like an artist retreat out in the woods, something like that.
Some people
Go on
wanna
a world tour and
perform on the moon with it.
paint the
Yes.
Parthenon in
Yeah.
Greece.
Yeah,
Or the David.
those
Someone
are
wanted to
all-
crochet
That's
the
right.
David.
Crochet David.
Shout
statue.
out to you,
We had a
Brenna.
crochet artist on.
Oh, crochet to David. Oh, that's
Yes.
interesting. Yeah, that's
So what
interesting.
are you doing?
Oh man, if money and time were no object,
Yeah.
You can bend reality a little if you'd like to.
yeah. I think. I mean, there's probably there's stuff similar out there already, but just like I think it would be like an epic physical home for contemporary Black artists, and also like a gigantic section of classic art, from the giants of the from yesteryear, like Romare Bearden, and then combine that with literature, just a really super duper deep dive into the culture and all of its forms, all of our contributions in the arts, because there's just been so much, and it's kind of like disjointed, right? I mean, you've got some information here, or you may have like there could be some deficiencies in how this information is being kept and recorded and preserved and exhibited.
Right.
So like a place where people could go to just like learn about history of Black photographers. That's a long, gigantic history too.
I'd love to get into that.
Yeah, that's man, it's amazing. So like that, and then the history of the dance, as an art form. I mean, it could be so I guess my dream is to kind of build this with the Mahogany Black Arts and Cultural Center.
I was gonna say you might be able to call this the Mahogany
Yeah,
Black Arts and Cultural Center.
yeah. It's not all grand yet, but it's coming.
That's perfect. That's the dream.
Yeah, that's the dream. Yeah, indeed. Just a place where people can learn and be educated, about all of our contributions in the arts, and why that's been so significant. Like, why should we keep this information? Why do we want to preserve it? And there's a reason for that. So many different reasons. But like I mentioned before, art documents history. So when we don't have that, it's like we were never here. Mm-hmm. It's like we never made any contributions. And that's a disservice to people as a culture and as a people. Because everybody has contributed so many different things to the world. That's what makes it so such a unique world. I always make the analogy of like a flower garden, right? The beauty of the flower garden is its diversity. That's what attracts the bees. That's what attracts the flowers. You see, this blue, really funky flower over there that has this different smell to it. That's totally different than this other flower over here. Mm-hmm. That's why I see these bees they're just hopping, and I'm like, wow, that's dope. Like I wonder what this one smells like, or what's in it? What is this one? Why is this bee attracted to this one? Mm-hmm. But so, like getting back to this whole, this preservation of art and culture, collectively here in this region, I feel like we have a lot of work to do when it comes to, Black art and Black culture, of preserving that locally, but nationwide too. But I'm here, so I'm worried about
gotta start somewhere.
Locally, right?
Can't overwhelm yourself with the big picture
right. Because
now.
Lord knows I don't need anything else on my plate.
Yeah.
But I think that would be just an epic place. Just to one of the things that really stood out to me, I took a trip down to the Stony Island Arts Bank in Chicago, and I was really impressed by their. So they, long story short, the another iconic thing, Jet and Ebony magazine.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was iconic for so many reasons. But when John H. Johnson passed away, his daughter gave this collection of books and reference material. This was before the internet. So when they had to research articles, they would go to their library.
Oh, yeah.
They had their own library, in the building, and it was like, like the size of like 10 rooms. I mean, from everything, fiction, nonfiction, authors, biographies, you name it. And it was really cool to see these books. They had signed copies of books from Langston Hughes.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I'll go to this book, and here is a handwritten note from Langston Hughes to John H. Johnson. Like here, as friends, they were friends, and I'm like, wow, like this is book in my hand is probably priceless.
Oh yeah, sounds like a treasure trove.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, how dope is that? To see like, all these people that you read about like you can see their handwriting. You can, you see personal notes, and like it brings it into reality. Like these were actually real people at a certain part in time that, created all these, were so influential, in the arts and culture. So, I guess I think that's probably what we're on a smaller scale. So it's what we're building, and I think that's what I'm passionate about.
Awesome.
We always love it when people answer. It's kind of what
This
I'm
thing
doing.
I'm already doing.
Yeah.
Love that answer, because then we know people are kind of
You're on the right
pursuing what they are passionate
indeed.
about.
Yeah,
So we love
indeed.
hearing that answer.
Indeed. Well, thank you.
Yes. So on to the next question. What is the funniest comment or a funny story that you've heard about your art?
Funny story I've heard about my art.
We've had people say, "Oh, that abstract thing looks like a poop," or just funny stuff like that.
Yeah. I would.
Because it was Donovan who had his little poop. The zombies. Someone said they looked like poop.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but I do remember something that it wasn't not really related to my art. So in a former life, I was a designer for a corporate. So I had that was like my day job, and
Your branding board and
yeah. So I worked in a team. We had about 6 other designers, working for this corporation, and I remember that I was only black designer there, and I remember like one of the other designers brought their kid in, and she was introducing everybody to her child to everybody, and they got to me like, oh, this is this is Scott, he's one of the other designers, and so I'm talking to the little kid, and exchange probably like 5 minutes, and kind of showing them what I'm doing on the computer, and I was doing some sort of package design, I believe, at the time. And so we're done, and they go away, and then I hear that we come back, and the kid was like, oh, this is when we were there. I'm bad at storytelling.
No, you're fine.
So you know. Okay.
You're all good.
Some people just have a knack for it. I'm not one of those people.
Me neither. That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah. So I just need to preface that for everyone who's like, God, Scott Terry, get to the point.
He's getting to it.
Yeah, I'm getting there, guys. Just bear with me, okay?
Let him land. Let him land.
Yeah, right.
It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
I mean, it's not that exciting, but it's a little bit.
Yeah.
So she's like, the kid is like, oh, I said, yeah, I'm a designer. She's like, oh, you're a designer? And I was like, yeah. She's like, what? You don't look like a designer.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. They're kids, so,
No filter.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that was a teachable moment. So I said that. Well, what does a designer look like? Mm-hmm. And, so we got to talking like, oh, well, designer can be anybody. Can look like anyone. Yeah. And so she was like, oh, you're right. Yeah.
A little teachable moment.
Yeah. So that wasn't really, funny, but it's just kind of like, it kind of was, because kids ask the darndest things, right? That's a real life thing. And so but she had never seen a black man as a designer before, so that was a teachable moment for her and me too. So so how do you address that? So
and that's why representation is so important.
Right on.
Yeah, you need it to widen your perspectives.
Yeah, dig it. Dig it.
Well, we are nearing the end of our questions.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, we have a theme song for that.
So you need a theme song for that, and a theme song for Jake. What is that called?
Educate Jake.
Yeah, Educate Jake. Yeah,
maybe that could be. We just transfer that over.
Yep.
There you go.
The big
cut that out.
The big question.
So, Final question.
Yes, sir.
What are some of your thoughts about the local art community? Ways to improve, needs, and that goes for, Racine,
Yeah, sure.
the whole area, whatever you want to talk about.
Sure. Well, I think, there's always work to do, right? There's always things that we can improve on and get better at. I think the cool thing is that, we did in Racine, we did a little of an assessment of like arts-based organizations. I led this conversation amongst some other folks that were in the arts, and one thing we realized that there were over 15 arts-based, arts-centered organizations, and that's literally what we said too. And so, and we're like, wow, you know what? That's great. That's fantastic. That's a great beginning. So, we have a really like folks who are in the space, who operate, in the arts, are really passionate about what they do, whether it's visual art or performance art or theater, and art educators, as well. It's just, I think there's a challenge in getting other folks to recognize that and support that, as well. And I think also it's we have some work to do as far as that's concerned. Teaching and educating the powers that be of how the arts is a economic driver, for communities, and it can build careers, and how we interact with the arts on an everyday, regular basis that we don't even realize it. So we're doing collectively. I think we meaning communities are doing a disservice to young people and other artists by not acknowledging that and putting money behind that and legislation behind that, things of that nature. But I think it's good to have there's galleries for everyone, every style. There are art fairs, in Racine and Kenosha. We have a phenomenal regional arts center at Parkside, the Rita Talent Regional Arts Center. Shout out to them, the UW Parkside College of Arts and Humanities. They do a fantastic job of connecting, helping to do their part to connect the dots, and not just in Racine, Kenosha. It's literally regionally. So I want to give them a shout out, and they're big supporters of which I didn't get a chance to talk about. Really, we're going to talk about the. I'm just making an executive decision. We're going to talk about the Mahogany Black Arts and Culture Expo.
Yes.
So that's another example of how community embraces the arts. So a little bit about the Mahogany Black Arts and Culture the Wisconsin Black Art and Culture Expo. It's a 2-month long celebration of Black contributions in the arts, in all of its forms. Last year it was our first year, which was actually this year, February through the end of March. Mm-hmm. We had over 3,000 participants, in person and online, virtually. It was a 2-month long series of 10 events that centered around various aspects of art. So we had a panel discussion that was about building a career, pitfalls to avoid, things to do as an artist. And we had, artists who had varying levels of experience. That was moderated by another iconic artist in Wisconsin by the name of Matope Johnson. He's one of the few Black artists that are in the private collection of the Milwaukee Art Museum, and just has a very long resume. Excuse me. So the Wisconsin Black Art and Culture Expo is based in Racine, but it's really a highlight of Black creativity all across the United States. So there's an art show at the gallery. Last year we had 12 artists and about 35 pieces of work. We also do a big fashion show, to give a shout out to the fashion designers and folks who work in that creative space, as well, and the fashion retailers. Gives them an opportunity to support, small Black-owned businesses, and so that was really cool. The fashion show, And then we had about 4 different live music performances, both at Mahogany and Parkside, as well. So,
Awesome.
and this year is going to be a little bit different. We're adding more things.
Great.
So this year I'm really excited because we've got participation from a few art-centered organizations in Milwaukee, and then Racine, and then also Parkside and Kenosha. So now we're touching 3 communities. So we're talking about building that bridge between
absolutely.
our communities.
Much needed.
We've been really intentional about that because we're talking about Wisconsin Black art. It's Wisconsin Black art, right? It's not just Racine Black art, and or Kenosha Black art, but we want to be embracing and supportive of artists, and specifically to artists who have historically been underrepresented in these type of spaces and these type of venues. So I'm really excited about the work that we're doing with the Wisconsin Black Art and Culture Expo. This year we're implementing a few new things, which is our first Legacy in the Arts Awards. That's not like a lifetime achievement award for practicing artists or art advocates who have spent 25 plus years advocating or practicing in the arts. And
amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. We've selected 3 award winners. I'm not gonna say their names just yet, but
probably shouldn't.
but all 3 of these, we're probably looking at about over 150 years worth of art advocacy, art practice, and helping other artists build their careers as well. So, I'm a big fan of, giving flowers to the folks who, while they're here.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. We're also this year doing our first black tie kickoff event, which you guys will be invited to. I hope to see you in the building.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so
buy a tie.
Yeah, it's time to buy a tie, man. Ditch the straw and get you a tie, man.
I'll just use the straw as a tie.
Yeah, I guess you can do that too. Yeah, you do what you want, right? Yeah.
Long enough.
Gonna have to get the one from last week.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, dig it. So I'm excited about that, and that will also include the awards, the Legacy Award ceremony, and also we're doing a workshop on collecting Black art.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about that. The presenter has a 50-year collection.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's probably, it's the largest collection I've ever seen in my life. It's thousands of pieces in the in the collection. So if anyone is authority on collecting artwork, it would be this person.
Yes.
So I'm excited to have that be a part of this Black Art and Culture Expo this year. So it's really about education. It's about learning. It's about having fun and celebrating the contributions in all of its forms. So that's really what it boils down to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to do anything with Lemon Street, we're always open.
Oh, right on. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Collabo.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to do
yeah.
a project here or anything like that, we always our door's always open. So,
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. That's good to know. Yeah.
See, we're building bridges.
That's right.
it's happening
What
right
it's
in
all
front
about.
of you.
Right in front of your
Pop
eyes.
that bubble. Was that what you said last week,
Yep.
Shelby? Pop that
Pop
bubble.
that bubble.
Pop the bubble
I
and
know.
get out and just widen your horizons. Collaborate with people. Just
Right.
get out there and see what's around you, because you really get in that bubble and you don't know what's going on.
Well, can I speak on that just a little bit?
Oh yeah,
for
definitely.
sure.
Yeah.
That's one thing that that personally, I've been intentional about doing, and I've noticed that other communities who do that, who are open to more collaborations, are more successful for the community as a whole and for the artists. It's nothing but a win-win situation.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't operate in silos, and we can't operate in in bubbles. So I'm all for that. The communities that I've been involved in, they understand that as well. I've been on this sort of national tour just to see what other communities are doing. Yeah. And that's one of the common denominators I see, is that there's a lot of collaboration between the galleries and between the arts organizations, and the local governments, so here we have, we've got some work to do, but this is how we start that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it right now.
We're not competing against each other.
Right on. There's no competition.
A rising tide lifts all ships.
One
of my
Jake.
catchphrases.
Oh, Jake, that was profound. Say that again, Jake.
A rising tide lifts all ships.
Oh man, you guys hear that? Wow.
You want to hear it again? Listen to pretty much every episode.
Yeah.
I say it all the time.
Yes, it always ties into that last.
Right on, Jake. Right on.
Yeah, we got to kind of create a support system because we need that parental figure or that teacher, or just we really need to highlight those people and embrace those people, because we can't go on and continue to have these wonderful art events or art venues without that support system. So
Absolutely.
join the support system, be
Absolutely.
art appreciator or a marvelous maker.
And then here, can I add one more thing? And I know we got to wrap it up.
No, you're all good.
But I think, it's, I also want to express that, some people get, I can't think of a good word, but I would say like maybe intimidated by either like their lack of knowledge of, Black art and Black art history, or they may feel like it's just exclusively for, for Black folks. It's not. Art is art. What we're doing is acknowledging here's another group of people who have added to this landscape, right? And let's see what they have added to this landscape. It's kind of like that garden again, right? What type of plants and flowers have added to this overall picture. And so that's how I like to frame that as. I'll see some people, sometimes they'll come into the gallery and they'll peek in and they feel like it's not really for them, so they just kind of leave. And it's for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not anti anything or anti anyone. It's just it's about celebration of another aspect, another form and another another form of expression from a people that have a different experience, and those are all should be embraced and welcomed and validated, and all those things.
And
so
celebrated.
And celebrated. Right on, Jake. Right on, man.
The doors are open. Come on in.
Come on in. Yeah.
Pop that bubble.
Pop the bubble, baby.
And that's kind of also how we operate here. It's just no matter where your ancestors come from, no matter who you love, no matter anything, come in here and just be a part of this weird little art family we have here.
Right on.
Yes, we totally love that.
Yeah, shout out to Lemon Street. 24 years, right?
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Almost,
24 years. Shout out to Lemon Street. You guys have been doing it for a long time. That says a lot in and of itself too. 24 years is that's a lot of work, for one. And that's a lot of art.
Yes.
Yeah. You can, if you put a number on like how much artwork that's passed through these doors in 24 years.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Started with 13 artists.
Oh, the original 13.
Yep, the original 13.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and it's grown. So,
You guys should have if you don't, maybe I just didn't see it, but like a little history wall about.
we've got little plaques by the register, and then we've got a community wall in our classroom.
Okay,
So
cool.
all the community events or like anything, like when we've been in the newspaper for significant events.
dig it.
So
Dig it.
we've been recently adding to that, and we just finished construction in our classroom. So
Okay.
so we're slowly making adjustments.
So you should come on by and check it out.
Yeah, right on.
And you have a final bonus question.
Oh, yeah. I almost
for
forgot.
Scott.
I listened to your podcast to help prepare for this.
Okay.
And you always ask,
Okay.
do you consider yourself a Black artist or an artist who
Look
is
at
Black?
you, Jake. You've been listening to my podcast, man.
My job.
Right on, Jake.
If I can steal your question.
Yeah. No, that's one of my favorite questions I love to ask, and you'll be surprised. Everyone is different, right? But for me, I think it's very difficult to. This is just me. To remove a piece of your identity from your work. I identify with being a Black man in America, so that comes with its own set of things, own sense of stuff, right? And I feel like if that's a part of who I am, and that's reflected in my work. So I identify with being a Black artist. I think that's important for me. And I think it gives me sort of affirmation or validation to express that and be that. Mm-hmm. That is also a thing that's being a Black man in America is not a monolith. Mm-hmm. Right? This is one expression of that, right? Mm-hmm. Out of millions. Mm-hmm. So that's my expression of that. But I think I would say yes, I identify with that, because that's just my work reflects that. Yeah. I think for the most part, pretty much all of it. And I can't escape that, nor am I trying to escape that. Mm-hmm. I just think that really it makes makes my experience with my work that much more valuable to me and more identifiable, right. To me. So, a lot of my work is based off of that, but also my family upbringing and, my experiences as a child. And, one of my favorite pieces, I sold it, and I kind of I shouldn't have sold it, but that's a whole conversation. Yeah. It was,
every artist has a piece like that.
It's called Sylvester Summers, and it was a sort of ode to my grandparents. Growing up in my parents, growing up in a really small, tiny country town in Georgia, Sylvester, Georgia. And I remember as a kid going down there and small 2-bedroom farmhouse that 14 kids were in.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just remember that whole vibe going down there was just completely a different experience than what I was accustomed to. Yeah. I got to see the country, and my grandparents were, it was their farm, so everything was so much slower, and it just, I didn't really appreciate it at the time because I was a kid, but now
there's no TV out here.
Yeah, the struggle, right? Yeah. No cartoons. What am I going to do with no cartoons?
Yeah.
But as I became an adult, you have a much better appreciation for, for that. So, that's one of my favorite pieces, and I sold it to a collector in California. Yeah, it's funny how that happened. I got an email at 4:00 in the morning, and and I'm say, hey, I'm so and so, and I saw your piece, and I want to buy it. And I was like, wait a second, no one does that.
Yeah, is this a scam?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, no one does. So I actually sat on it for a couple of days. Mm-hmm. I didn't even respond. I'm like, they're playing. So so I get another email, and same thing. Hey, it's me again, and I'm like, and he gives me his number. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's for real. So I call him, and sure enough,
he was serious.
Yeah, so I had to kind of, that was an internal struggle for me to let go of that piece. And but the beautiful thing about it, and I really came to this realization that your work is not for you. Your work is for other people. Your work is to connect or help them connect with themselves, or help them connect with their community and their surroundings and their understanding. That's really one of the major significant powers of art, right? I mean, if I just kept it, what is that going to do?
Yeah. Outside perspectives stay locked in. Yeah. You're kind of gatekeeping yourself, and it's what am I doing?
And when I wrapped my head around that concept, then I was okay. I said, Scott, this is you can make another one. It's fine. And this person really wants this piece. So yeah, that was it.
Sharing your experience.
Yeah.
So where can people find you other than at Mahogany Gallery?
A lot of places.
Yeah. I'm all over the map, man. But it was Mahogany Gallery, 1422 Washington Avenue in Racine. Open Thursday through Saturday, 12 to 5, or by appointment. Online and social media, you can find me at Mahogany Gallery on Instagram, and then on Facebook it's Mahogany Gallery by Scott Terry on Facebook. And then what am I missing? Oh, website is Mahogany Gallery as well. And be sure to go follow. I love talking with people. If you like send a message or something on you're typically talking to me most of the time.
Gotcha.
So go follow and like, share, and tag.
Oh.
Don't be a stranger.
Right
And
on.
check out the podcast.
That's
Check
right.
out Mahogany Dialogues. Get
on.
excited about the Wisconsin Black Arts and Culture
Right on.
Expo coming up.
Right on.
There's so much.
Yeah,
so much.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about going to Florida next week, and we're actually doing a really special edition of Mahogany Dialogues in Florida at a gallery down in St. Petersburg. I'm excited about that, and then I'm also doing a panel discussion with 4 other gallerists, talking about how artists can connect with galleries, and
It's not as scary as a process as you think it is.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that, and that's kind of like the whole collaboration thing, right? That we talked about. It's really it's beneficial. Like I'm really intentional about creating win-win situations. Everyone should take something away.
Definitely.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Alrighty. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, pretty much everywhere. So you can find us, and you can follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram at the ArtSpace Pod. And
Thank you to Would You Kindly, who is the band that did our theme song. Oh, we have a special shout out today. Shout out to Nicholas Michael Ravnikar. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Literally 2 hours before we recorded this, he commented on our Instagram and said, you guys should really have Scott Terry on from Mahogany Gallery. He's doing great things up in Racine. You should have him on the podcast.
Oh, get out
So,
of here!
shout
Really?
out, shout out, Nicholas.
All right,
hope
Nicholas.
you're listening.
Yeah, right on. Okay, right on.
so yeah, thank
How
you.
ironic was that?
It was
Perfect.
weird.
Serendipity.
Yeah. it's like-
Wow.
I said we're on the same wavelength.
It definitely are. Wow. Great minds think alike, right?
Yeah.
That's the art ecosystem, right?
So you guys can hop on our Instagram and suggest some
Yes.
people that we don't already have scheduled for 2
right on.
hours after you post
That's-
your comment,
that's
and
right, that's right.
let us know who we should have on.
Yes,
Wow.
and we have our Facebook group, The Marvelous Makers and the Art Appreciators, where we just kind of share what art events are going on in the area and just cool stuff going on. You could talk about episodes. It's pretty just a free-for-all for art and supporting art and just really just taking a moment to support our fellow makers. So
And pop that bubble.
yes, pop that bubble.
Pop that bubble.
Yeah.
Trying to get
Pop
that
bubble.
catchphase
Pop
started.
that
Shelby doesn't have as
Pop that
many.
So you need to
as
make it
many.
into a song, pop that boat, yeah, there you go. Look.
So yes, I need it.
She's popping that bubble, guys. I heard that.
So yes, hop on there and just send some love to local artists.
Yeah, right on. And what's the name of that again?
The Marvelous Makers and the Art Appreciators. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so you don't have to be an artist to participate. Just go in and it's a place to pop the bubble, I guess. So
Share some stuff and be a part of the community.
Yeah, dig it.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys for having me. This was fun. I had a good
Thank
time.
you.
yes, and I think that about wraps it up for this episode. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Depression, addiction, the thrill that you seek. Our restlessness cages the fire we need. We're here to